first up, he's okay, isn't he?
He's fine. He slept the whole time. He doesn't remember anything.
Okay.
He didn't understand why we were crying and why he was getting huge cuddles, and he was no problems at all with him.
Okay. Now, what time does he get off the bus usually?
He normally gets off about 3:45, 10 to 4.
Okay. When did you realise there was something wrong?
By 4 o'clock, the bus hadn't gone past, and so we come back up to the house, and I got my wife to ring the school. And the school said, leave it with us, hang on, and went and checked with the lady in charge of putting them on the bus and said, no, he definitely got on the bus, and I know what I know what he was wearing, and so, you know, that was fine. So I said to my wife, I said, you stay here and wait for the phone to ring. I'll go into town. And what we initially thought was the bus might have broken down or something.
So you're a little way out of town, are you, on a property?
Yeah, we're only 7 k's out. We're not that far out of town.
And I assume it's a pretty small school, is it?
Well, actually, it is quite a large school.
Okay, but he's well known anyway by the teachers. So you've gone looking for the bus. What happened?
Well, I drove the bus route and didn't find the bus, and I thought, well, this is a bit strange. So I went to the school. I was fairly worried by the time I got to the school, and I would like to apologise to the teachers and ladies. I was quite rude. I found that he wasn't there, and he's got a bigger sister who normally goes on the bus with him.
Yeah.
And she had netball training, so we thought the little blighter might have got off the bus and followed her up to netball training. So I went from the school up to there to see her, and she said, no, he definitely got on the bus.
Gee, you must have been getting frantic by now.
I was, yes, I was very frantic, but I can honestly say I was nowhere near as bad as my wife was. She was hysterical.
Well, I don't blame her. Her 5-year-old's gone missing between school and home.
Yes.
So what did you do next?
Well, I drove halfway home, and I thought, well, it's no good me coming home again. So I rang my wife, and I said, I'd ring the bus company. And she said she already had, and that when she rang the bus company, the line was pretty bad. It was cutting in and out, and they said they'd ring her back. So I turned around and started driving out towards the bus depot, which is a couple of k's out the other side of town.
Yeah.
I got halfway there, and then my wife rang and said that they found him. He's asleep on the back seat of the bus.
And where was the bus?
We assume at the depot, but we have no idea.
But was he? He was in the bus, but was it locked up at the depot, or was it?
We don't know. We don't know whether he was left. The timeline would indicate, because we're only 5 k's or 7 k's out of town, the bus only drove halfway out. The timeline would indicate that the bus driver had more than enough time to go back to the depot, drop the bus off and go home, because he only lived a couple of kilometres from the depot.
And do they put the buses away in a shed, or are they just parked in a paddock or something?
I don't know. I think they might be in a paddock, but I'm not 100% certain.
Okay.
I'd like to say that we knew the bus driver. My wife rang his mobile. She was absolutely hysterical. We'd like to apologise to the driver's wife, because obviously that wasn't a very nice phone call, and we were quite rude. As you can imagine, we had no idea what was going on.
So how did he get home in the end? Did they deliver him home?
They delivered him home eventually. Like when my wife said they've found him, he's in the bus, they're bringing him home now, and I said, no, I'm halfway to the depot, I'll go pick him up. And she said, no, they're already on the way. And I thought, well, if I go to the depot, they might have come home come out to our place a different way. So I drove home again, and we were probably home. I was probably home for another 10 minutes at least before the driver came out and dropped him off.
So it's taken them some time to get him into the bus and get him home.
He was still asleep. I think from what we can ascertain, and it may not be right, we don't know, is that he was in the big bus, he was asleep on the back seat. We think the drivers picked him up and put him in a little 12-seater and brought him out here in a little 12-seater.
And did the driver or anybody from the bus company explain to you what had happened?
No. And the driver actually, when he dropped him off, said to me, "Oh, my little mate fell asleep," and laughed. And I said, look, don't talk to me, and shut the door and walked off, because I thought if I respond, it's not going to be civil. So it's probably my fault for not talking to the driver, because I, as you can imagine, was very annoyed.
So you still haven't really got an explanation about what happened?
No, to this point we still haven't.
Have you got an apology?
No, to this point we still haven't. We'd like to say that the school did absolutely, the primary school did absolutely everything in its power to find him. They had teachers going everywhere. They were really worried, to the extent that night we got phone calls from a couple of the ladies in the office to make sure that he was okay.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Then we get no response at all from the bus company.
Well, I think you're owed that, and we'll try and get it for you. I believe you're not too popular in town since you raised this.
No. I'll just say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But look, it's fair enough to. We're trying to get answers from the bus company, but I think it's fair enough. You need an apology, you need an explanation, don't you? Was he locked in the room alone? Did he wake up at any time? How did it happen? What happened?
Can I just say, Neil, that the only reason we're going to air with this is we want, if there's any bus drivers out there listening, we want them to change their protocol. We want them to get up and check and walk up the bus and make sure that nobody or nothing has been left on the bus. All we want now is to make sure it doesn't happen to another family.
Well, you've been through hell, haven't you? For an hour, you're just wondering where your 5-year-old is.
Yeah, pretty much, yes.
Is he gone to school today?
No, today he's not well, so he's not going to school. But yesterday he went to school and he was fine. He doesn't understand what all the fuss is about.
Okay, and how's your wife?
Still a bit of a wreck, to be honest.